what you feel as far as the responsibilities of representing mankind on this trip?
That's relatively difficult to answer.
Hi guys, so it's an incredible film. Was there anything that you found that you didn't know of before?
Well, I think it was more about the stuff we didn't find, which was, Stanley Kubrick in a corner and like a light stand in the back, which we were hoping for. It would have probably made for, maybe a more interesting documentary. But yeah, I think it was all the little, what was surprising to me was all the little moments, the human moments that really still get me. It's the reason why I personally, not because it's my film, but like to go to all the screenings to see it, because I get something new out of it every time. But I remember one of the first test reels we had was the guy suiting up Neil Armstrong and Mike Collins and Buzz Aldrin, and to see the look on their faces was extraordinary, but it really didn't hit me until we actually scanned on another reel. They had done a dry run of that very same exercise a few days before. So they got suited up. They're all kind of joking, slapping each other on the back. All the technicians are, everybody's very jovial. They get in the Astro van, they go up the elevator, they sit on top of the rocket, and then they come home. But a couple days later is the real thing, and to see that, the expressions on their faces, that kind of contemplative, meditative look, of carrying the entire, weight of the globe on their shoulders to go do this amazing thing, always gets me. So that was surprising, because before this film, we've always seen it in like these little boxes, and it's always grainy or black and white, and you just don't get that connection like you do with seeing it like this.
Yeah, to me, it's as if you had. So there'll be scenes that I was familiar with, because obviously I'm familiar with the footage, but then it's like taking a step back and realising actually there was a guy stood behind the guy who filmed the footage we're familiar with a 70mm camera filming the same scenes. So yeah, I learned so much from just visually understanding what happened.
The film is told like just with archived footage. Was there ever a conversation where you wanted it to be bookended by like surviving members of the actual mission?
No. Yeah, we, from early on, it was only, utilizing the archival materials. The great thing about that, and the great thing about Mission Control, was at the time the mission was going on, as with all the Apollo missions, you had right next to the flight director, you had a public affairs officer who would kind of be the voice of God, or would take all that very technical jargon that was going out that the public had, was hearing in real time, and could discern exactly what it was. And it helped that they had the voice of like airline pilots, so it was very calming, and they worked in shifts just like all the other flight controllers in Mission Control. And you kind of got, at least for me, it always made sense from a filmmaking standpoint. We could kind of use those as our narrators to kind of get us through very complicated technical maneuvers that were happening.
You yourself are no strangers to Sundance. How does it feel to be getting that recognition with this film from such an established institution?
Oh, it's great. Sundance is like a second home. I'm glad that it's at Picture House this year, not the O2 as it was the last time I was here. In a giant arena was kind of weird that it was Sundance, but this feels a lot better. But yeah, Sundance has supported me as a filmmaker. I've just been very lucky to have, both my films have played on opening nights, with the first Dinosaur film and now this one. So I can't say enough about the entire team. I love Sundance. So.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, this year was my first year ever to go to the actual festival in Utah, and it was just an amazing experience. So
yeah.
And you got to ski for the first time.
Absolutely,
too.
learned to ski.
You didn't break your head open, which was good.
Yeah.
Just going back, I was just reading the production notes as well for the film, and there's like over 11,000 hours of audio that we hadn't heard before. Just coming through that, did it bring back like memories of watching it, seeing like recreations and things throughout, like over the courses of the years? Because obviously this marks the 50th anniversary.
Yeah,
so quite special.
there was a digitization effort by the University of Dallas, or University of Texas Dallas, for a speech recognition project. And before it left NASA's export control, we got 18,000 hours of Apollo-related audio, but 11,000 hours of that was directly related to Apollo 11. And there was no transcripts. There was no real good way to go through it. Once our colleague Ben Feist had, up in Toronto, had developed some software working with some grad students in Europe to sync all of that, clean it up, and by the time we got it, it was an amazing way to work. It was tedious because you could, there's so much of it. But the great news is, or the good thing is, we could put it in a timeline. We can on off, who was talking to who, and see for the first time things that we knew happened in the mission, but had not ever been heard before. For instance, Jack Garman, who was a 24-year-old flight controller, sitting in a back room. Everyone knows it came down to him. At least the space nerd community knows that during the landing, the alarms are going off, and it was his abort or no abort command to actually have the landing when those alarms were going off. Well, for the first time, we hear exactly what he says. What's he say?
Says, if it's executive overflow and if it doesn't reoccur, we go. So he's very calm, measured during what must have been a very stressful time.
But that research into that and doing that, it's great, it's in the film, but it also, and this has become, a big part of our job, is just not the curation of these materials and the archival nature and dealing with the archive preservation aspect of it, but affecting the historical record. So we're working with NASA and continue to update that so future generations have a better understanding of the significance of this mission and the Apollo program.
Just finally, is documentary where you'd like to stay as a filmmaker? Or?
Yeah, so we developed some really great technologies on this, and working with IMAX on large format films. So there's a technology end of it where some of the film scanners that we're working with, and also down the road working with film manufacturers to make it more accessible to younger filmmakers that don't have $50 million to go out and make a film. So we're working on that end of it, and I'm totally invested in large format, big cinema film event filmmaking. So we have a couple of fiction projects that we're working on, but my heart's always in documentary. I'll still continue to do those as well.
Contact right.
Thank you for watching The Fan Carpet. If you like this video, be sure to click that thumbs up button at the bottom of your screen. And also be sure to subscribe to the Fan Carpet YouTube channels. They're absolutely free and so much fun too. Be sure to check out the official website, thefancarpet.com. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay up to date with reviews, competitions, the latest news, and so much more.